right, Bubba, here we are, Quasar Markets Live, and Tuesday you said what to expect with the president. I said I don't think half the Supreme Court will show up. They didn't, even less. I said that half of Congress might not even show up. It was really bad. It was a shouting match. What the hell was going on, Todd?
Good morning, Mr. Big Beat, or good afternoon for you. Listen, it was the Democratic Party embarrassed themselves a little bit on Tuesday night, especially not standing for the wounded, the injured. I thought that was pretty in poor taste, and I thought Omar and Rashid were pretty embarrassing, shouting back. Listen, he said everything's great. It's going to be great. That's President Trump. Everything's going to be great. I think that he did not really do a good job at addressing the real economy. I don't think he did a good job addressing the healthcare, but I thought he did a good job. And again, I think that it does show, though, the mass divide in this country, and it doesn't start just from the top. It's all the way down. We have this pretty mass divide and a very weak economy, which can really create some fireworks later down the road.
Yeah, and you look at his poll numbers, and even CNN had him at 38, 39. Fox had him at 36. I mean, that's almost Nixonian levels. I think it is Nixonian levels at this point. And when you look at the economy, nobody's agreeing with him. They're saying, no, the economy is not that great. Everything's bad. But NVIDIA just blew out their earnings up 8% on revenue, and yet the stock is down. It just seems that people just aren't happy, or what is the malaise that really deep down, what is really sticking at them?
Well, I believe that we've seen so much overvalue. Listen, we've been chasing the stock market up for quite a while. There is no other place to really invest your money right now. It's been very hard. And I think that unless there's massive blowout beats, I think you're going to see stocks get cracked. And I think you saw it in NVIDIA. Was traded 204 last night after it reopened. Now it's down $10. We're at a point, and this is the warning signs that are clearly out there if you want to pay attention to them. Stocks are not going up at the same pace. Do you realize we're at about 40% of normal volume now? Again, I'm not getting on the volume train, but I'm saying that there's a lack of interest, and every time news comes out, and this is where you see the gentle turn in the market. Good news normally 6 months ago would have drove the market up 3-4%. Okay, today, good news is giving us a mixed market, down in the NASDAQ, up in the Dow. So look, we got problems. And until people wake up and say, hey, there's a problem, I need to do something, I need to protect myself, I need to start saving some money, I can't keep spending and building this massive amount of debt, there's going to be a bigger problem. And of course, it happens all the time. This is not the first time, and it won't be the last time.
Yeah, I agree. And it seems that there used to be a time when bad news was bad news and good news was good news, and then it flipped around. Good news was bad news and bad news was good news because of whether or not that the Fed was going to get involved and step in. And Miran today said, I think we need to be a complete 1 percentage point down from where we are. Obviously, you and I talked about the Fed a million times, and they're in disarray. They're not even understanding the data. What is it that the average consumer needs to see in the markets, in the world? Do they need to see milk prices come down? Do they need to see gas prices come down? Do they need to see clothing costs? Or do they need to see stock market way up again, which is the president is pinpointing his whole career on? What is it that Main Street and the institutions need to see in order to kind of stem the tide here?
I think that's two separate questions. I think for the average American, they need to see better wages if they can keep their job, and they have to see lower prices at the grocery store, lower prices at the gas pumps. I mean, we've seen gas come down a little bit, but groceries, although some lower, one of the problems is we never get to come all the way back down to where they went from, no matter what's going on. I think the malaise also, we have to have some real honesty from our political body, including the president, that the economy is not so good and that we have a lot of work to do to clean it up. Because again, when only 5% or 10% of the population is thriving, that's not a good story. That is not a good story for everybody. It's great for the upper end, but the average guy isn't going to be affected by the stock market one way or the other because they can't afford to be in it anyways. So we're in a point where we've gotten away from saving money and being able to build towards the future. to spending everything we got, charging everything we got. And I think that's the bigger problem. The upper end, the institution, they want to see a continuation of the rally. But in my opinion, Big B, I think the institutions they've got their finger on the button. They want to sell. They want to get short this market, and they're holding off, trying to let the average guy get back into the market, push him up, and I think they want to bury him here for a while. That's the way that I look at it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I get you on that one. I've heard over the last few weeks, say months, we know that the housing market is imploding. 10-year now at 4.025. The 30-year jumbos now under 6%. Has not been that way in years now, for 4 or 5 years now. And the people that have the 3% are starting to feel like they can't really afford their house anymore. There's a lot of people that can't do it. And we might have a housing crunch. I'm hearing rumbles of 2008.
There's no question that we're in 2008. Okay. Look, here's the story. Okay, when the houses became day trading items, okay, because of the cheap money, now, I drive, I live in Las Vegas. I drive down the street. They're still doing a lot of building here, but now you see signs every other block. We'll make you a mortgage deal. Lennar is offering 2.5%, 3.5%, and 4.5% mortgages because they're stuck with property.
Right.
So they're telling you that there's a problem.
Right.
The whole system is telling you that there's mass problems. And unfortunately, because of the facilitation of the banks and the credit card companies, people are still be able to get money, even though they can't afford it.
Yeah.
Okay? And again, that goes back to what I tell you all the time. What a great business to be in. I can lend to my heart's content, make as much as I can. And if I go bust, I'm too big to fail, which is, again, we've really in this country done a systematic job over the last 25 years of destroying the individual banks, the small bankers, the banks that the farmers used to go to, and on a handshake deal. We've taken all that away, and we've gotten too many big banks. And of course, obviously, any bank can only be 11% of the overall banking system, which is why you could be down to 9 banks at one point in time.
Yeah, and that's scary to me because I don't want to see the world of farming fall apart here. That is falling apart.
It's all corporate now. This is the other problem, right? You've taken away the family farm and you brought in the corporate farm because they can bring in cheaper labor. They don't care. They don't care if they lose money for a while because they've got other businesses to run versus the farmer whose big thing was make some money on their crop, but the farmer's wealth was always built on their property and their land. And of course, they've had to sell out or lease out their farms. It's becoming a very big mess, and this is a very scary time once again. And as I said, we'll see the same collapse that you saw in 08 and 01 and 87, not to mention the other little ones, but who knows when it's going to be? Is it going to be tomorrow, next month, next year? Nobody could say what the answer is.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that the market can say is irrational the longer than your portfolio can stay, and you can stay rational. I get all those adages. But the average person, when I keep asking them, are you pulling money out? Are you protecting yourself? Are you doing anything? And the answer is always the same. No.
So
that scares me, Bubba. That tells me that people are not paying attention.
Well, but people never pay attention. This is that's really what makes markets. Let's be honest. You and me, we're here by ourselves. Nobody's with us. Okay.
They are right now. We got quite a few people listening to you, Bubba.
I'm kidding. You and I know that most people ignore problems. They're happy in the good times. They ignore the problems. And then what happens is the problems become too big and they can't handle them. And of course, then the markets fall apart. They collapse. They sell everything they got because they can't take it anymore. They can't take the pressure because they weren't prepared for it. I'm saying to every investor that you should have a plan and be prepared. Your investment portfolio, okay, however big it is, whether it's $1,000 or $100 million, you should have a plan of what you're going to do. If this happens, I'm going to do this. You must have, I present every Saturday, I talk to my members, and I go, what if? You have to know to do what if. How am I going to get out? That's what your problem should be, is what am I going to do? If this happens, I'm going to do that. And people don't do that. They sit there, and that's why we get these massive meltdowns when they come, because of pure panic, because nobody has a plan on what to do. They they put their head in the sand like an ostrich and don't figure out if something goes wrong, how am I going to protect myself and my family and make sure that I'm able to pay my bills so I don't lose my house, my car, and the rest of my assets.
Yeah, and what the best part about you, Bubba, is that you have a complete system, and you do teach that, and you do train, and you do educate people, and I love that. And look, I want everybody right now, just do me a favor, click on the link, BubbaTrading.com. It's very simple. Go hang out with Bubba. I know him personally. It's part of Quasar Markets. And listen, I know he'll help you. I know that's part of it. You know, I think a lot of people, Bubba, don't when you say, oh, get ready for something big bad to happen, they really don't know how to buy volatility. They don't know how to buy options. They don't know how to play the game. They don't know how to protect themselves. Oh, well, I just need to sell everything. And that's not how it always is. You can always protect yourself other ways, and you know how to do that, and you educate people on that process too.
You know, I want them. Listen, I want to educate people. I don't have to do this. I could just sit back and trade and be by myself. I want to educate people because you know what, Big Beat, I'm tired of seeing people lose it all. I'm tired of seeing people, you know, begrubbed and getting beaten down and have to restart over. You know how hard it is, and of course, the older you get, the harder it is to restart because your earning power continues to diminish as you get older. So it's easier if you're prepared ahead of time. And that's why I teach people, because I want them to be prepared. I taught a guy, I said, believe it or not, true story. I was playing poker yesterday, taught a guy that was sitting next to me how to hedge his IBM because he was whining. I said, well, if you were hedged, you wouldn't have to worry about it. You'd have been happy. But I taught him there, and I sent him a recording on how to do it because, look, at the end of the day, I want to help people. I want them to be happy. I want them to be successful. And I want them to be able to drive through the very dregs of life because, listen, every day is not Christmas for any of us. We all go through good. We all go through bad. And I want people to at least be prepared for what can happen next because the cost of insurance, and that's the funny thing is we buy health insurance, car insurance, auto insurance, life insurance, all insurances you never want to use. Portfolio insurance, you want to use it because it will help you accumulate and build wealth.
That's right. And what he's saying is if the market goes against you, you still win the money on the insurance and you put that money right back in. You get to buy more stocks and you win bigger. So Bubba's telling you that. BubbaTrading.com. Todd, I will see you right back here on Tuesdays. Always, man. Have fun in poker tables. Love you, man.
Big Beat Cardinals. Let's go.
Let's go.